Liverpool continue to bring in new faces over the summer. Confirmation that Lyon has moved. That's what they're suggesting. The 18-year-old has gone from Italy to England, and the centre-back for about 35 million euros. Isak won't play for Newcastle against Villa. Of course, that still goes on. Marc Guéhi, meanwhile, linked for that move from Crystal Palace to Liverpool, and you take a look at 30 million. It's an absolute bargain if they can get it over the line for the England international. Do they need all those players?
Yes. The simple answer.
Who's the priority?
Yes. The centre-back is the priority. Right, so Alexander Isak is not the priority. Right. I think anybody who witnessed Liverpool at the weekend and have followed them, Joe Gomez is injured again, and his injury record is not great, unfortunately. He's had terribly bad luck. They sold Jarell Kwanzaa to Bayer Leverkusen, so they, Endo and Gravenberch can play there for the odd game, but they can't play 30, 40 games in case Konate or Virgil van Dijk get injured, so they needed reinforcements, and it looks like they've certainly brought in a youngster, but I think Guéhi is the priority if they are linked with him. I don't think an 18-year-old is, as much as he's got people have spoken about him really, really well, and he's got a great future ahead of him. It's difficult to put him straight into a Premier League side, isn't it, champion? So I think a more experienced centre-back is what they needed.
How much was the level of concern from Liverpool after what happened at the weekend, if at all? Defensively seemed to be the big talking point.
Defensively, Dan, it was always on the cards. I spoke to a couple of the sporting directors. They're always going to buy a centre defender. Right. It was just a matter of when. I don't think losing to Crystal Palace, sped up that process any differently. That was always a priority for them. Isak is the icing on the cake if that comes around, but certainly the defenders are the ones.
You agree, Nedum?
Yeah, I do, but I think the forward line is potentially an issue as well. Just because when you see the players that have either left or, for different reasons this summer, they do feel a little bit light up there as well. And it's not to say that, if somebody like, say, Gakpo doesn't play, yeah, maybe you could have somebody else step in, maybe like a Harvey Elliott and so on. But after that, then what is there? So I think I'm a bit concerned from that standpoint. And I thought towards the end of the game as well on the weekend, they played with like a false nine, didn't they? So maybe that's an option that he's looking at. But I think the defensive side of things is more important. And I would argue that Marc Guéhi, for as good as he is, it's a weird signing if he goes there because he's not going to be playing every week. I think the needs that you've just mentioned there are somebody who's going to be filling in for Konate and Van Dijk, one of the best defensive pairings in all of Europe. So for Guéhi in a year before a World Cup... Yeah,
I agree with that.
Realistically, is that a move that is going to be beneficial for him? Probably not.
I think what most people don't realise is that Liverpool have signed 4 people and spent a lot of money. But they've also sold a lot. They've sold more people, actually. And some of the fringe players, of course, the goalkeeper, Jarell Kwanzaa, Tyler Morton went out. And there's, Liverpool have got 3 left-backs at the moment. So one of them may go. So there's more people have left the club than have been signed. So, I'm with Nedum. In an ideal world, I'd buy another forward. Right. Diaz has gone, Nunez has gone. Of course, the tragic Diego Jota incident situation, that was awful. So they've lost 3 forwards and they've only brought in Vert and Ekitike. So if they want to bring in another forward, I'd gladly want them to bring in a forward, but I just think the centre defensive area is more important at this moment in time. But I still think they will invest because they brought in a lot of money on the other side. Yes. And their net spend is about £100 million, which is not a lot when you do the maths from last year and this year. So I think they've still got plenty of money left.
I'm thinking the Isak signing would be more important for Liverpool at this point. Let's be honest, if there's a choice between Isak and Guéhi, Isak gets into the starting 11, no question. And I think Ekitike accepts a role of coming off the bench and playing in cup games a lot easier than maybe Guéhi would. And then I'm with Nedum on this. Guéhi gets signed. I don't think he gets into the starting 11 straight away, So while it's great to have that cover, and you're asking a lot of Van Dijk, who's into his 30s now, Konate to be playing, 50 or 60 games a season. Guéhi is not guaranteed games unless those injuries happen. Whereas again, up the other end of the park, Isak straight in. And Ekitike accepts his role as being a bit part player and kind of growing into the Liverpool shirt over the next couple of seasons.
I don't think they're linked. I think they can do. They can do all of the deals.
Agreed.
I think the sticking point is, do you pay 150 million for Alexander Isak? And the answer is no. They're not going to pay that much. If they can come to a happy medium between 110 and 150, I think the deal could be done. But I don't think Liverpool are going to pay £150 million for Alexander Isak.
Meanwhile, there was a lot of celebration amongst Liverpool fans when, of course, Salah and Van Dijk put pen to paper on a new contract. They weren't good at the weekend.
No.
Is that a concern at all?
No, not at all. I think you're talking about two very, very experienced players who had an off day.
That's it?
I would say that's it, yeah. And I think for, say, Salah, for example, who's playing alongside a Frimpong for the first time in a game of that sort of scale. So the relationships that he's had previously with Alexander-Arnold or, you know, even Conor Bradley, for example, stuff which you've seen established, you know how it's going to work. And he's also trying to link up with Ekitike. These are all quality players, but it takes time to get into a rhythm, to understand how things are going to be. And I think the performance that we saw from Liverpool, that might be their worst one that we'll see for months now. They've got the capability to get better and better. A manager's going to see what needs to be done. And I think Salah and Van Dijk themselves don't know how to manage their individual performances, but then also go forward and help the collective. So I'm not concerned. And to add to it, a big point from the weekend, which I don't think gets spoken about enough, Gravenberch wasn't playing. When you see the players that have played for Liverpool in the last year, Gravenberch playing in that 6th row is a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And I think if he was playing alongside a McAllister, then maybe Wirtz can have a different type of...
Who also didn't play. He came on sub. So, you know, there's a number of question marks over the performance, as Nedum rightly said. I wouldn't draw anything into it whatsoever.